Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News, Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. Stand up for your country. Well, it's a bit calmer today. That is a good thing. Still a lot of stories going on. But calm is something we need here because there's just so much strife, not only in the USA, but all around the world. I did a Piers Morgan interview today. He's over in London, and it goes all over Europe, all around the world. And we'll post that on Friday in the message slot. And I think you should watch it because Europeans have no blanking clue what's going on here. And the media over there misreports stuff. It's not like here, where the press in America is partisan. So the corporate media, about 80% of it, wants the Democratic Party to win the midterms. We know all that. And so they skew their coverage to try to make that happen. The other 20% love Donald Trump. They want the Republicans to retain power. But in Europe, it's different. They don't even understand the basics of the stories, like ICE. So I explained it to Mr. Morgan, who gave me a lot of time to roam. And I think you'll enjoy that. Again, it will be posted, BillO'Reilly.com on Friday. Talking Boy's memo is politics and the Olympics. Okay, Friday, opening ceremonies, Milan, Italy. So-so town, not one of my favorites. If you go to Italy, you got, the south, which is warmer, Rome on down. Love it there. And then the north is the Alps, and beautiful. Milan, an industrial city in the north, and Cortina, a resort outside of Milan, is where the mountains are, and they're going to do all the snowboarding and skiing and bobsledding, and then the ice hockey and the indoor events will be done in the city of Milan. Now, here's the deal on this. So the opening ceremony takes place at 2:30 on Friday, okay? And I think it's going to get a record viewership all around the world. I think the Olympics are going to be very big this year. And the games last until February 22nd. That's long. That's a long slog. Security is overseen by the Italian government. Not sure. Now, I know they have consulted, they being the Italian government, with the United States. We have the best security in the world here. It might not seem like it, sometimes we do. And I know that American agents are there, but I'm worried about this a little bit. There are two countries banned from the Olympics, Russia and Belarus, both because of the Ukrainian war. So they cannot show up. Not a lot of big stars. Lindsey Vonn, the skier, 41 years old, is the biggest American name. She hurt herself in the practice runs up. She says she's going to compete, but boy, oh boy, it's going to be tough on her. But otherwise, a lot of anonymous athletes, they will become famous fast when they win. And I'm looking forward to some very good, stiff competition. Now, here's the downside. At the same time the Olympic ceremonies are opening on Friday, the United States will be talking to Iran in Istanbul, Turkey, about a deal. Now, as I reported last night, I had an extensive conversation with President Trump yesterday, much of it about Iran. And I can't give you the blow-by-blow because it wasn't on the record, but I can tell you that I know a lot about it. And he was asking, and I always give my opinion when asked. I never volunteer it. I don't know whether the deal that President Trump is going to offer will be accepted, because if it is, it will humiliate the mullahs, and they deserve to be not only humiliated, they deserve to be executed. And I don't even believe in capital punishment. If you read my book, Confronting Evil, I got the Ayatollah on the cover. It's exactly the same thing that happened to Shah. Ayatollah came in. Now Persians want the mullahs out. They want to have secular government. Exactly the same. Okay? So anyway, in that conversation with President Trump, something's going to happen. It's not going to be like Obama walking away from Assad. You remember Assad in Syria? You remember the poison gas red line thing? No, something will happen, but it coincides with the Olympics. This is an unreported story. So if you got the Olympics and everybody's watching, and all of a sudden you've got American air power leveling the Revolutionary Guard headquarters, which would be the first target. How do you do that? So keep that in mind. The other thing is that Putin's going to cause trouble. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. But I don't know how that trouble is going to unfold. I probably would predict that he will do something heinous in Ukraine. Carpet bomb Kyiv, something like that. But again, he wants to disrupt the Olympics, Putin. So that is all in play. Now, the biggest attraction for me, and I bet for a lot of you, is the hockey. Because if the USA and Canada get to the finals, oh boy, bad blood between President Trump and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. Canadian team is good. American team's good too, but Canadians are going to be favored. But boy, what a match that would be, huh? So anyway, keep all of that in mind. Things are unfolding quickly. All of that happens on Friday, and that is the memo. You've heard me talk about All Family Pharmacy before, and I'll keep talking about them because they are truly doing things right. They're fast, reliable, and they care about getting people the meds they need without all the runaround. When you don't want to wait in line and would rather get your meds delivered to your door, you need All Family Pharmacy. When everyone around you is sick and you want to be prepared, you need All Family Pharmacy. And when your doctor says they will not prescribe ivermectin, you need All Family Pharmacy. They've got everything: antibiotics, antivirals, Tamiflu, blood pressure meds, more. Order online. Once approved by the doctors, your medication ships straight to your door. Be prepared for whatever this new year brings. Please visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use the code BILL10 to save 10%. All right, there's a new book out. Was released yesterday, and you might want to consider. It's called Rage in the Republic, The Unfinished Story of the American Revolution. Now, it's a little pinheady, but I read it, and you'll learn a lot. The first part of the book is the difficulty of getting American society and the American government running in a way that benefited all Americans. Thomas Paine, very crusty guy. Everybody hated him, except me. I liked him. And Jonathan Turley, the author, goes all through that. So if you like history and you read my books, you'll like this. Then the book takes a turn into, well, are we going to be able to keep what we have here? Our republic, are we going to keep it? Because we got now a surge in AI, we got new techs, we got a corrupt media, we got academia that's falling apart. Can we keep it? So joining us now is the aforementioned Jonathan Turley. He's a law professor at George Washington University. You see him on TV all the time, read his columns. All right, so I want to stay in the present day because you are right in the fire zone. So you teach at a very liberal university, George Washington. Some of your columns and commentary are, I wouldn't say conservative right wing, but they're not liberal. And you do go after some people on the left. What has happened to you because of that?
Well, I'm one of the few libertarians, conservatives, contrarians left in academia. Recent surveys have shown that many departments don't have a single conservative or Republican or libertarian. Yale reached sort of nirvana stage not long ago, where they found that not a single faculty member at Yale contributed to the Republican Party. So there's been this purging that has gone on since I first went into teaching over 30 years ago. And I talk about this in Rage and the Republic, because the second half of the book, as you note, Bill, is looking at whether this republic can survive in what we're facing. Now, part of that is what I call the rise of the new Jacobins. And the Jacobins were, of course, those people who brought about the French Revolution, because the book looks at both the American and French revolutions and the personalities involved, and asks, why did one, the American Revolution, become the most successful, oldest democracy in history, and why did the other become the reign of terror, and what we could learn from that. And the Jacobins began as professors, journalists, lawyers, who talked about due process and the rights of man. And then they became architects of the terror. And what the book suggests is we're hearing those voices again, these new Jacobins. You have the dean of Berkeley Law School saying that the U.S. Constitution is a failure. This is on our 250th anniversary. You have the New York Times regularly publishing law professors saying we have to break the system down, pack or get rid of the Supreme Court, make these radical changes. And what the book raises is that these are people who are trying to remove the very elements that got us here today, the very elements that saved us historically from the demise that we saw in things like the French Revolution.
And in modern times, in the fascist states all around the world. But why? Why would intelligent people, number one, veer so far left? Do they fear robust debate? Do they fear allowing the American people to make their own decisions?
Well, there is this echo chamber environment that benefits many of these, particularly law professors, also journalists. They write for each other. If you eliminate anyone who's a dissenting voice, it helps you. You get more invitations to conferences, more publications, more control. The last thing you want is someone who's going to say you're wrong. And I never thought we would be in this position, quite frankly. As I said, I went into teaching 30 years ago. But more importantly, as I talk about in the book, when I went to University of Chicago, it was an awakening for me. There were people, I grew up in a liberal, democratic, politically active family. I knew there were young Republicans. I just never met one. And I went to University of Chicago, and in the basement, the Trotskyites would meet. And upstairs, we had militant vegans. And next door, we had these bizarre libertarians. It was like walking into the Star Wars bar scene. And for me, it was absolutely just thrilling. I loved every minute of it. I was fascinated to see people that saw what I saw and saw something completely different. My students simply don't have that anymore. Most law schools, for example, don't even have a Republican or conservative. If they do, they just have a couple. Now, keep in mind, this country is a majority conservative or libertarian. And, I had a debate at Harvard with one of their professors, and I raised with him, and I like him a great deal, but I raised with him this issue that the faculty at Harvard has only a handful of conservatives or Republicans, and the student body is less than 9% in a country that's divided equally, and where the majority of judges are conservative. And he immediately said, well, we're Harvard, we're an elite university, we don't have to look like America. And I said, but Randall, you don't even look like Massachusetts. I mean, Massachusetts is over 30%.
But see,
Republican.
that's the key to changing traditional American society, the classroom. So if you get the urchins at age 13, and by the time they get out of college, they're 22, and all they hear is America's bad, stolen land. That amused me greatly at the stupid music awards. If all they hear is that, then you're indoctrinating a whole new generation of Americans to move to the radical left. So I think this is a very well thought out plan.
No, it is. And in fact, Rage and Republic goes into that, because I talk about Mondami, I talk about all these socialists. The polls show that socialism and even communism are being embraced by really record numbers of young people. And as I talk about in the book, these are people with no memory or experience with the socialist governments that collapsed in the 20th century. So all they know are these sound bites, like Mondami saying, "I'm going to introduce you to the warmth of collectivism."
Right.
It's very much like, as I talk in the book, when Mitterrand was elected president of France, he actually appointed a minister of leisure because he was promising the French they'd have so much time paid by the government that he was going to have someone manage to make sure they could get all the leisure they want.
I know.
And of course, the economy collapsed. But these kids never saw that. They
Well,
never
I mean, the
experienced.
warmth of collectivism is tough because Mandami can't even plow the snow off the streets of New York City. So that's collapsing pretty fast. But I think that you're correct in saying that when you have a monolithic left wing educational system, and you do in this country, that's going to change the voting patterns. It has to. Now, the second thing is the corporate media has bought into that. They like that. You often appear on the Fox News channel. George Washington University can't be happy about that, are they?
No, I've been shunned for years, but I've been shunned since I testified in the Clinton impeachment. If you can't be fired, because I'm a chair tenured professor, so instead you're largely shunned in
What does that
academia.
mean, shun? How
Oh,
does that?
you. The thing is, this is a group that'll try to take away everything that has meaning to an intellectual. Publication of papers, joining conferences, those type of things go. If you really sort of violate this orthodoxy in
Have you
academia.
ever had words with these people who are trying to sabotage your career?
No, because I don't have words with many academics because I am persona non grata. There's very few of
They
us
don't even
left.
talk to you, and,
No, no, and there are
no,
very few of us left in academia, and it's amazing because half of the students are coming in this country are coming from conservative or libertarian families, and they get to law schools, and there's virtually
right,
no one that can share that view.
right.
But one of the things that worries me most, and I go into this in Rage in the Republic, is that we're going to be facing challenges that we have never encountered before. I talk about robotics and AI, but also global governance systems like the EU. But even as the book goes into, even taking the most conservative estimates, this book is a roaring endorsement of capitalism. I believe in capitalism. Milton Friedman ruined me at the University of Chicago. I do believe that capitalism will adjust, but we are looking at a massive job loss that we've never encountered before. And that means we're going to have a lot of people that may be on a subsidy of the government. And the book looks at how that would change us politically, not just economically.
Sure.
What if we have a kept citizenry that is being subsidized by the government?
Well, that's what happened in the early 1930s. So you
Right. So
had the Hoover people come in, very conservative people, capitalists to the top of their forehead, and they booted the recovery of the Great Depression, and then FDR came in, and the whole electorate changed over. But I'm very interested in your personal story because you do write in a personal way in this book. So you get it on the Fox News channel. Now there's pressure there to toe that conservative line. Do you feel that?
I haven't. I've worked twice as legal analyst for NBC, twice legal analyst for CBS, also with BBC. So I've worked for four networks, and I have good memories of all four networks. I've never felt pressure at Fox.
Good. I'm glad to hear that because I never
While
did when I was there. They never ever interfere with what I did. But when you're on there, do you understand the vilification? Because that was crazy from my experience. I got attacked every hour on the hour. I never understood it. So why do you care what I say when you got five other news outlets that are saying what you want to hear? Why is one outlier, me or you, if you say something the left doesn't like, why does that bother these people? I never got that.
I think that, and I go into this in the book as well, that part of the problem with this orthodoxy, both in the media and in academia, is that it makes you increasingly intolerant to hear opposing views because all you hear in your echo chamber, if you just go from MS Now to CNN, or if you don't leave that silo, you become more and more intolerant, which is what we're seeing. And also, social media has changed us a lot. I've had a lot of death threats. My family's been threatened. That was the uptick was when I testified in the second impeachment involving Donald Trump, and I received hundreds of threatening
What did
emails.
you tell the people, just so if people don't remember, what did you say? Your crux of your remarks were what about Trump impeachment?
Well, I testified at the hearing, and I was the only Republican witness, and I opposed the impeachment,
Okay.
which I think was an abuse, and I also think the second impeachment was an abuse. But having been in with one foot in on the media side for 30 years, it has changed in that social media has unleashed a lot of that rage.
Yeah.
And this book talks about rage. The all country, well, not all countries, but many countries are the product of revolution. And revolutions are caused by rage. And our revolution was caused by rage. That's what the Boston Tea Party was rage. The problem is it's easier to start a revolution than to end it. And the reason we succeeded is we had two absolute genius figures, and among many. But Thomas Paine was sort of the righteous rage of the revolution. But it was James Madison who was the pious logic. So Paine knew what it would take to move a people to rebellion. And it was Madison that knew what it would take to move a revolution to a republic. And it was the combination of those two characters.
Yeah, and they were totally opposite, those guys.
There could not be more different.
Could not. All right, Professor, it's a fascinating book, Rage and the Republic, out now. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on, and we'll talk again soon, I hope.
Sounds good. Thanks.
If you are a homeowner, there's no better time than now to call American Financing to wipe out that debt, eliminate the stress, set yourself up for a strong 2026. The Fed dropped rates for the fourth time in December. American Financing can help you access that equity in your home at an interest rate that's in the low fives. That is a much lower rate than the average 20% or more credit card rate. American Financing is saving their customers an average of $800 a month. There are no upfront fees, no obligation to see how much you can save. If you begin today, might be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. So please call 888-462-9557. 888-462-9557. AmericanFinancing.net/bill. Let's face it, the U.S. economy is under stress. National debt rising, trade war shaking the markets. And meanwhile, China is dumping the dollar and stockpiling gold. That's why I protected my savings with physical gold and silver through the only dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. And you can do this. Get precious metals delivered to your door or place in a tax-advantaged gold IRA. They'll even help you roll over your existing IRA or 401k, tax and penalty free. With billions in precious metals delivered, thousands of 5-star reviews, and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau, you can trust American Hartford Gold as I do. Please call 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Again, that's 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Final thought, I will be in California. I'll leave tomorrow, so we won't be here, but we have a special on the biggest Super Bowl upset of all time. I think the greatest Super Bowl moments. And here's a look at it. Go. The myth then says, and I'm going to play a sound clip now. The myth then says that you were at a kind of a press event and then predicted a victory. Roll that tape.
I get up to the podium and a guy in the back of the room yells out, "Hey, Namath, we're going to kick your you know what." And it just, it was just, no, wait a minute. I've been hearing that all week long. I got news for you, buddy. We're going to win the game. I guarantee you. That's all there was to it. One guy in the media picked up on that statement. Then everybody said, oh, guaranteeing a win, guaranteeing a win.
That was ballsy. Did you know when you were saying that how outrageous that was?
I didn't care. It was a wise guy that yelled out, Namath, we're going to kick your ass. You know what I said? Hey, buddy, I got news for you. We're going to win the game. I guarantee it.
Okay. So you didn't care that this was going to be worldwide headlines and that,
Oh, no, I didn't. No.
Are you, if you had to do it again, would you do it again?
Absolutely. It was a wise guy back there.
I think you'll enjoy the interview with Joe Namath. It'll be on tomorrow on all our outlets, okay? 6 p.m. on BillO'Reilly.com for members. And then at 8 o'clock on the First TV, streaming, DirecTV, YouTube, you name it. All right, now, I'm going to do a YouTube commentary, and it'll post tomorrow, on the economics of the Super Bowl. This is unbelievable. It's capitalism run wild. Do you realize the top ticket now on the secondary market is $30,000 to see the Dopey game? I guarantee you I'm not paying that. But the hotel in San Francisco where I'm staying is so expensive, I thought I might bunk with the homeless. That's how big it is. I'm going to give you all the numbers, and they're astounding, on our YouTube bonus, which will drop tomorrow. And we will be back here on Monday. I don't know whether I'm going to write a column or not. I probably will. I'm so busy out there, but I'm going to try to write a Sunday column. Thank you very much for watching the No Spin News and listening on our radio stations across the country. I'm Bill O'Reilly. We'll see you again on Monday. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today. All right, bias in the media. One of the reasons the Democratic Party's dissent in the Wall Street Journal poll is so shocking is that the corporate media still backs them. But the corporate media's fallen off the cliff, just like the party. So this is the latest, okay? So Newsbusters is a conservative outfit, and they are pretty good with their studies. I've never seen them take stats and manipulate them as other people do. I haven't seen that from Newsbusters. So here are the stats, all right? So Colbert is the poster boy now for, guys getting hammered because they're far left, right? Since 2022, we're talking about 2.5 years, Colbert has hosted 176 left-leaning guests, only one Republican. Guess who the Republican was? Liz Cheney, who hates Trump. Okay, that's the only reason she's on there. This year alone, first half of the year, Colbert had 43 left-leaning political guests, 0 conservatives. Way to go. Stevie Baby. Now, all of them, late night, 99% of political guests on late night comedy shows lean left. 99% in the first half of this year. Okay? January 6th to June 30th, 106 liberal Democrats, 1 conservative. Who was a conservative? A guy named Orrin Cass, founder of a right-wing think tank. He appeared on The Daily Show. Kimmel, Myers, Fallon, Colbert, and The Daily Show. That's Jon Stewart. He only does it once a week. Okay? They won't book you. Now, it'll be interesting to see for Confronting Evil if Stewart books me. I don't know whether he will or not. He gets astronomical ratings when he does. Okay, we have a long history of very interesting segments. Let's see if he does or not. Now, we're going to ask them all to book me. Kimmel, Fallon, whole crew. And I'll report back to you. When I go on, the ratings go up. I'm the best-selling nonfiction author in the world. Books are phenomenal. 19 number 1 bestsellers. Why wouldn't you book me? I'm pretty handsome, right? And they have a battery of makeup people. And they all have 10 writers, so it's 10 against 1. You should be able to beat me with 10 guys who are called Stewart. I said, yeah, you should be able to beat me. It's me against your 12 guys back there writing anti-O'Reilly jokes. We'll see. It'll be a very interesting study. So the danger of all this at late night, and the morning follows too. Mornings like that, not quite as bad. GMA, Today Show, all that. Is it creates an aura of propaganda. That's what the doctor was she's calling me a propagandist, because she doesn't think DEI favors groups, which of course it does, but what are you going to do? I thought she was a good guest. So it creates this bubble of propaganda where uninformed people who live in the left-wing world, they believe this stuff. So if you never see a moderate voice, always see left-wing people late night and in the morning on a network show, what do you think you're going to do if you don't know very much? And that's what's happening. And it happened yesterday, Sunday. So my pal Stephen A. Smith was on This Week with Jonathan Karl, and he texted me, he says, watch and critique me, which I did. And Smith is always good, very lively, and makes his points. But Karl is a nitwit. I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry, you are. And I'm going to prove it now. So there were two sound bites that I'm going to show you. The first one is that they're talking about Tulsi Gabbard, who overstated her case, by the way. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, way overstated her case. She outkicked her coverage. There is a thread of truth in what she has, but that she exaggerated it. Okay, here's what Karl said. Go.
So let's start with the what we saw in the White House this week. Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, coming out and making some extraordinary claims about Barack Obama, the president of the United States, accusing Obama of treason. Again, no evidence whatsoever for any of this stuff.
Yeah, there's plenty of evidence. Barack Obama, as president, presided over meetings that talked about Russian collusion with the head of the CIA, the head of the FBI, who are both in serious trouble, okay, for passing on false information. Obama was at those meetings. Now, that doesn't mean he did anything wrong. But surely you need to investigate what happened at those meetings, right? You can't go on the air on ABC, well, you can, but and say there's no evidence. That's evidence. The president, Barack Obama, held meetings discussing Russian collusion with guys who allegedly falsified information. That's evidence. Oh, geez. All right, the second one is about Kamala Harris using her $2 billion campaign fund to pay celebrities to say good things about her. Go.
Trump actually suggested last night that Kamala Harris should be prosecuted for allegedly buying the votes, endorsements of celebrities like Beyonce. Again, no evidence to this stuff.
Bull. There's plenty of evidence. If you're giving money to anybody to help you in your campaign, that's an in-kind donation. Okay? So Oprah, as widely reported, got more than $1 million to put on an event for Harris. That came out of her money, campaign money. Bruce Springsteen got $75,000. Beyonce got $165,000. And Beyonce didn't do jack. I don't think she even sang a song. That's evidence, Jonathan Karl. What is wrong with you? Now, Trump exaggerated it, as he sometimes does. Here's what he said, quote, I'm looking at the large amount of money owed by the Democrats after the presidential election, and the fact they admit to paying, probably illegally, $11 million to singer Beyonce for an endorsement. No. Nobody admitted paying $11 million to Beyonce because A, it didn't happen, and B, we can't find it. and we would have found it. Now, there was some obscure nut on the internet, not even an organization, that said something, but you can't do that. And that just gives the Jonathan Karls, who are not reporting honestly, openings. Just keep it in the fact zone. But there's absolutely evidence that the Harris campaign spent money to get these celebrities surrounding her. Whether it's illegal or not is for the FEC to take a look at. That's how you fairly report this. Boy. Let's face it, the U.S. economy is under stress. National debt rising, trade war shaking the markets. And meanwhile, China is dumping the dollar and stockpiling gold. That's why I protected my savings with physical gold and silver through the only dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. And you can do this. Get precious metals delivered to your door or placed in a tax-advantaged gold IRA. They'll even help you roll over your existing IRA or 401k, tax and penalty free. With billions in precious metals delivered, thousands of five-star reviews, and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau, you can trust American Hartford Gold as I do. Please call 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Again, that's 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. And joining us now from Washington is the aforementioned John Solomon. All right, so this all began with Tulsi Gabbard, Director of Intelligence, putting forth that, there may be some criminal charges here. The media has largely ignored it on the left, and the right-wing media has, stoked it. Would that be accurate so far?
That is a complete accurate picture. Yep.
Yep, you're not going to get this in a Washington Post, New York Times, Network News. Let's start with the most important person in the investigation, President Obama.
Yes.
What do we know about his participation or lack thereof in the Russian collusion story?
What we know from the evidence that's now public, which we didn't all see years ago when this began unraveling, is that in late July of 2016, right after Hillary Clinton was cleared in the email case, even though there had just been new evidence surfaced that maybe she had been compromised in her email, they didn't investigate it, they clear her, she makes a pivot. The Russian government intercepts her aides talking about she's approved a plan to fake a Russian scandal to change the dialogue from her emails to Donald Trump's alleged complicity with Russia. They know.
Right, let me stop you there.
Yeah.
So this came out of a Russian informant. Is that what? Yeah.
We believe it's the way it's been described, by John Durham. It looks like it's a highly classified program of intercepts. So we probably intercepted their intelligence or their people being briefed on intelligence.
According to Durham, the special counsel, U.S. Intel intercepted some Russian chat, that said Hillary Clinton knew and wanted a phony story about Donald Trump. Do I have that right?
That's right. They did. And specifically to end the conversation about her email scandal. That's the part that's very important.
All right. They would divert attention away from it. All right. Now, you would have to then see what the intercept was and put it in context in order to, condemn Hillary Clinton. So Barack Obama, then what's his participation?
So that intercept is made by the United States government on July 26, 2016. On July 28th, just 2 days later, the CIA director at the time, John Brennan, was so concerned about what the Russians knew and the specificity of it, he decided to brief President Barack Obama directly. That's unusual because if you thought it was disinformation, you're not going to waste the president's time on it.
How do we know that Brennan debriefed Obama on this story?
We have a record of the meeting on the president's schedule, and then John Brennan comes out of that meeting and writes notes, and we have the direct notes of what John Brennan told the president that John Brennan wrote in his notes.
What
So
did
we
he
have the
tell?
contemporary-
What did he tell Barack Obama?
That there was foreign intelligence that that Hillary Clinton had personally approved a plan to demonize President Donald Trump by suggesting he was in cahoots with Russia to hijack the 2016 election. That's specifically what they say.
What was Obama's reply to what Brennan told him?
We don't know. Barack Obama's never been questioned, and John Brennan says he doesn't quite recall much about that
Doesn't
conversation.
recall.
Right.
Where did Brennan say he doesn't recall?
He was questioned in Congress, I believe, in 2023 by Matt Gaetz, and he's a little vague on that. There's also some references in the Durham report. They're a little cryptic, and so one of the things we think should be released soon, we're working to get, is the actual transcript of John Durham's 8-hour interview with John Brennan. We think that could be an important piece of evidence.
Obviously. Okay, so let's advance the story now. So you've got Brennan debriefing Obama on Russian intercepts that accuse Hillary Clinton of fabricating a story to damage Trump. What happens after President Obama hears that from Brennan?
In the 6-day period that follows that briefing, there's an extraordinary amount of activity. First, an Australian diplomat that has a long relationship with the Clintons. His name is Alexander Downer. He had donated a large amount of Australian tax dollars to the Clinton Foundation, longtime friend of the Clintons. He comes forward and tells the FBI, I remember this conversation from May, and I think the Trump campaign might have been working with Russia to hack the election. The very storyline that the Russians are actually intercepting that Hillary Clinton says that's going to be the fake story. He comes forward. Based on that information, the FBI opens the Crossfire Hurricane investigation.
All right, so a friend of the Clintons, tells who? The FBI? Is that
comes into the FBI? Yeah.
So he goes to the FBI.
Volunteers a report.
All right, this is James Comey. He says that he has information that the Russian intercept is bull, that there was a real...
No, what he's saying... No, actually... What he's saying is back in May, he had an interaction with a Trump staffer, I believe it's George Papadopoulos, and he walked away from that conversation thinking that George Papadopoulos might have been hinting that
Donald Trump... I got it. So he's trying to reinforce the validity of the story.
That's right.
So Comey then opens an investigation, right?
That's right. Pete Strzok, right. That's the agent who does it. Yep.
And then what happens after that?
3 days after the investigation's open, President Obama convenes a national security meeting in the Situation Room. And there he brings in his top people, John Brennan, James Clapper, James Comey. Very important that he's in that meeting. And he orders that a fusion cell be stood up to begin investigating whether Russia is working with Donald Trump or on its own to influence the election.
Okay, now, let's stop there. Yeah. So Obama convenes a meeting.
Right.
All right. And what was Clapper, Director of National Intelligence? Did he have anything to do with this? Did he contribute anything to this?
He's part of the effort to set up that fusion cell. He's the top intelligence officer in the land, so he's supervising the project.
But his crew intercepted the Russian thing that said
probably the CIA.
Yeah,
probably the CIA did the intercept. Yeah, so one down from him. CIA is one of those agencies that report up to Clapper. The CIA is the one who gets that intercept and then alerts the president.
But Clapper knew about it. Is Clapper refuting it or saying, no, it's real? Do we know?
We don't know. We don't know.
We don't know what Clapper's opinion was. So Obama's got all his guys in there.
Yep.
And they're all talking about this back and forth. So far, if I were president, I'd have my guys in there too. Sure. I would be talking about this, right? Wouldn't you?
I agree.
Okay.
I would.
All right. So far, we have Brennan, little nebulous. We have Hillary accused of the mastermind of all this.
Right.
Then, after the meeting, Comey carries on his investigation, right?
Yes, sir. He does.
Does he come to a conclusion?
He decides that it is worth, by September, escalating to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, the FISA court, the special spy court in America.
So 2 months before the election, Comey uses this unverified information that's been challenged by the Russian intercept to get warrants to what? Eavesdrop on the Trump campaign?
That's right. Specifically, Carter Page, which would give him a backdoor into the entire Trump campaign in Russia. So 2 months before, they're spying on the opposition party's campaign.
Did Comey ever explain why he used unverified information to get a court-appointed wire?
He has said that he thought it met the standards for the FISA warrant. We now know from
the standards. Okay.
That's right. Right. We now know it didn't meet the standards. Right.
Of course it didn't, because the whole story's phony. All right.
That's right.
Yeah.
From the beginning.
All right. But then Obama, did he step back and let the FBI do what they do, or did he get involved further?
He stays out of it all the way through the election. Obviously, Donald Trump does I think, unthinkable for Democrats. He beats Hillary Clinton.
Right.
And then there's a very important pivot after that.
Okay.
Now,
well, I'll get to that in a moment. So from the time he held his cabinet meeting about the Russian collusion accusation to Election Day, Barack Obama really didn't have any kind of, he wasn't
None
proactive.
that we know of.
That
we don't know of any other events. Right.
All right. He wasn't proactive. I mean, you'd have to have a whistleblower come up and say
That's right.
that he did. You know, he was behind it. All right. So after Trump beats Clinton, then Barack Obama swings into some kind of action. What was that?
Yeah, let me give you two other little data points because I think they're going to be important as we go down this map. I don't want to lose the timeline for people.
Okay.
July 5th is the day that James Comey magically waved his magic wand and said, I'm absolving Hillary Clinton. The FBI doesn't have the right to do that, but he did it.
We all remember.
That's July 5th.
Right.
And remember what the Russians intercepted, that this was a pivot point, that Hillary wanted to change the conversation from her email scandal to a fake Donald Trump scandal.
Right.
That same day, July 5th, 2016, the same day she knows James Comey is clearing her, Christopher Steele walks into the FBI with the first version of his dossier. So literally on the exact same day, when people look and say, boy, these are some coincidences that are serious, the day that she's getting absolved is the day she starts the Steele dossier. She's paid for the Steele dossier. Steele walks in.
Look,
and that process
the
goes through.
circumstantial evidence is overwhelming.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Now,
overwhelming. Okay.
One more date. While Obama was sitting president, not doing anything, in September, the intelligence community, James Clapper, James Brennan, all the experts, all 17 intelligence agencies say, listen, there's some evidence that Russia did the hacking on Hillary Clinton's emails. They're doing some typical countermeasures we normally see, but we do not believe that Vladimir Putin is trying to pick one candidate over the other. That is the assessment of all 17 agencies. So the belief is, all right, there might have been some normal, funny business that Russia does every time, but they're just trying to sow mischief. They're not trying to pick one candidate over the other. That is the assessment.
What did Brennan and Clapper say about that consensus? Anything on the record?
They delivered it. They were the ones who delivered to the president.
Okay.
So they
at that point,
they're backing their community.
They didn't dispute
not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
All right. So then in December, President-elect Trump is gathering his crew, and Barack Obama reinserts himself into this. What does he do?
He does. There's an incredible moment that occurs just before he gets activated. Over the Thanksgiving holiday, so late November 2016, the intelligence community comes back and said, we think we were right. It is clear that Vladimir Putin didn't try to sway the election towards Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. In fact, the best evidence of it is what's happened in October. In October of 2016, when most Americans are making up their mind about who they're going to pick, the debates are going on, that's the majority of Americans decide last minute, Vladimir Putin withdrew all of his countermeasures in the United States. He was not trying to drop any more damaging, damaging
and Obama acknowledges all of this?
Well, it's briefed, right? It is briefed. So on the end of November, the Gang of Eight in Congress is briefed on this, which is our assessment that we gave you and the president in September appears to be accurate. And the best evidence is that last month of the election, Vladimir Putin pulled out. He had more shots he could have fired at Hillary Clinton. He doesn't fire them. He holds them back. And in fact, he seems resigned in October that he was going to have Hillary Clinton as a president. They briefed that to Congress, and now they're about to brief it to Obama. They're supposed to tell Obama that on December 9th. And a funny thing happens. Obama convenes a meeting on December 5th, approximately, and decides he wants a new intelligence assessment. The one he was about to get, we don't know. We don't know the reason.
So he doesn't like this one.
Yeah.
He wants another
someone doesn't
one.
like this one. That's right. And Congress has already been given the information.
How do we
so
know that? How do we know that Obama wanted a new intelligence assessment of Russian collusion?
In the just declassified House Intelligence Committee report that did a review of this whole episode, there is a specific executive order that the House Intelligence Committee was showing that Barack Obama ordered a new intelligence assessment.
A new assessment. Okay. What does that indicate? So maybe he just wanted to be 100% correct, or, is there
two possibilities? Yeah, two possibilities from the testimony of people that we've been able to read. One is there were people who just didn't like that assessment. They wanted to push the narrative that Hillary Clinton lost. Right. Yeah, Donald Trump cheated to win. There are other people, when the president hears this, other people say, well, the president's hearing that from some people and he sees the intelligence community. He's got two different sides of the story. He wants everybody to go back to the
some clarity.
Look more time. Yeah, and that could be a reasonable thing to do.
So far, I haven't heard anything about Barack Obama that's going to get him indicted by a federal grand jury. I have heard that Hillary Clinton is in big trouble. Brennan, you would have to have, in the report that you just referred to, which is a majority report. It was written by Republicans, but there was no dissent from the Democrats on the committee, and Schiff was the head of that. No written dissent at all.
No, none.
Because I had to argue with Cuomo about that. But anyway, what's the most damning evidence against Brennan?
So when he takes over this new assessment, the normal way you do it is you bring all 17 people back to the chair. You get your 17 intelligence aides. Let's all come together and let's give the president the best thing. He doesn't do that. He cuts everybody out of the picture except for the CIA, who he runs, the FBI, who James Comey runs, and the NSA, who's run by a guy named Admiral Mike Rogers, who, by the way, warns President Trump in a meeting during the transition that I think the intelligence community may be spying on you, so be careful. Maybe you should move out of New York and go to Washington. Very important moment. He had concerns about what was going on. So instead of a full assessment, John Brennan brings it down to the two agencies that have been pursuing Trump for the last years, and then Mike Rogers, the NSA guy, and they do a rushed job. They handpick their own people. They don't let the agencies pick their people. And they inject to get to the point that they need to, or to get to the point that they ultimately decide on, that they're going to flip the conclusion. No, Vladimir Putin really was helping Donald Trump. They have to do two things.
So the new assessment that Obama ordered says that all of the other evidence is wrong, that Putin did try to undermine the election. Correct?
That's right. That is correct. That's
so
180.
Brennan has some debt. Looks like he's a Clapper. I don't know if he's got a deficit or not. Do you think he's in trouble?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
Well, listen, he would know what was going on.
He had to know what was going on. It's whether he promoted it or not.
That's right. That's right.
And then Comey had to know what was going on too, right?
He definitely, because he is the guy that wants the Steele dossier put into the ICA, the intelligence assessment. There's only two things in the assessment that, according to the John Durham report and now the House Intelligence Committee report, that leaned into the notion that Vladimir Putin put his finger on the scale for Trump. The first is the Steele dossier.
Which was
the
phony.
idea. It was. And by the way,
totally
in December,
made up.
It was already known to be phony.
Right.
Christopher Steele's
But
been
he
fired.
wanted it, Comey wanted it in the record anyway. That's a deficit.
Brennan
for
does
Comey.
that. Yeah, that's, and Brennan pushes his staff. Brennan's staff tells him, we've seen the emails, this would be a disgrace to the intelligence community to put this in an official assessment. It would harm all the other good work we've done. He orders it. He says, I don't care. You're putting it in.
All right.
And then
let's
there's one other
let's
thing.
stop there.
Yeah, right.
So it's a lot for the audience to absorb.
It is. It is.
So here's from what you have just told me, and I'm not challenging any of what you just told me. I think it's 100% accurate. It looks to me like there's not enough to go after Obama at this point.
Right.
There is enough to go after Hillary Clinton.
Yep.
There is enough to go after Brennan.
Right.
Clapper, not enough right now.
I think those are fair assessments.
There is enough. So it would be
Comey's got a lot of issues at this point.
Brennan and Comey would be the three that you could bring into a grand jury, a federal grand jury, and say they committed a massive fraud violating every election law.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep. And let me mention something that people say about Barack Obama. It's based on the evidence. And again, this is the contrarian side to that. I could argue that Barack Obama would do what a president would do if there was conflict in front of him. The one thing that Barack Obama, we don't have an answer to, we need to press him. We've tried, he won't give us an answer, is after you knew that there was a suspicion that Hillary Clinton was setting this all in motion, and then you're told the FBI has opened up a fusion cell and they're looking at it, why didn't you say something? Are you sure that we're not, he doesn't seem to object to it? That's the one thing. That's a judgment thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if it's criminal, but it's a judgment question.
You're never going to get it because he'll claim executive privilege if Congress calls him. He'll claim executive privilege if the FBI goes in to try to investigate him.
That's right.
And then the Supreme Court has ruled, as in the Trump case, that under the executive branch, got all kinds of powers. All right, John, very good. And I think we did about as good a job as we could to lay it out to everybody in a very confusing situation where we are right now. And I hope you'll keep in touch with us when you get new stuff.
I will.
This is an unbelievably important story for the country.
Tomorrow is going to be the most important day of all the revelations we've had this year, Bill. We should keep an eye on it. I believe it'll be Senator Chuck Grassley will release this classified annex of the Durham report. And in that report, we're going to learn something very important. We're going to learn that the FBI also knew, like Barack Obama, that Hillary had set this fake story in motion, and they decided to proceed with evidence that they knew was coming from Hillary Clinton. That's going to be the first time. It's a very important moment.
That's a crime.
And then it's important because one other thing. I want to take us just 1 week ahead, just because I'll leave them at a cliffhanger. But in January, for the first time, Barack Obama does something that a lot of people are deeply concerned about. In fact, an FBI agent wrote personal notes saying how concerned he was about it. After they released the Intelligence Committee assessment that's flip-flopped, the FBI has decided that Mike Flynn, the incoming National Security Advisor, did nothing wrong. They want to shut the investigation of Mike Flynn down. On the same day that Barack Obama is releasing this new Intelligence Committee assessment that does the 180-degree flip, he presides over a meeting at the White House. And at that meeting, they're told the FBI has cleared Mike Flynn, and they sit with Joe Biden and other top aides saying, how can we keep an investigation of Mike Flynn going even though he's not done anything wrong? And they scheme up an idea. They talk about the Logan Act. That wasn't going to be applied, but they talked about it. And they come up with the idea, let's get him to an interview.
That's going to be a separate case, though. That'll be a separate case than this.
Might be viewed as a continuation of a conspiracy. That's what some people feel.
All right. John Solomon, thanks again. We really appreciate it. Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com if you have any questions, okay? The American dream is changing. Forget the white picket fence. Today it's about getting out of debt. If rising prices and credit card bills are weighing you down, there is hope. Done with debt. They don't offer loans or push bankruptcy. Their expert negotiators go straight to your creditors, cutting what you owe, wiping out interest, eliminating penalties. They fight until your debt is gone. Most clients see more money in their pocket the first month. You've worked too hard to let debt win. With Done With Debt, freedom is possible. Please visit donewithdebt.com. Talk with one of their experts, completely free. But some of their solutions are time sensitive, so don't wait. Please go to donewithdebt.com. Again, donewithdebt.com. Let's talk about something big pharma doesn't want you to hear. The government and drug companies suppress treatments like ivermectin and others, not because they didn't work, but because they threatened their billion-dollar vaccine rollout. They want control over your health, but when it comes to your health, you should be in charge. I trust All Family Pharmacy. They provide ivermectin, antibiotics, more essential treatments that can be hard to find. They handle prescriptions shipped directly to your door in days, no hassle, real options. Stock up now so you're prepared, whether it's for illness, travel, or just peace of mind. You never know when you'll need these medications. So please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use the code BILL10 for 10% off. Again, allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill, code BILL10. Smart Life. Can you change a tire? Okay, I love this. This is from Finance Buzz. Talked to 1,000 American adults. Only 48% can change a tire. Now, I can change the tire, but it'd take me like 8 hours to do it. I know the jack, and I know the essentials. I have changed tires in the past, way back. Now I got every service in the world, but it takes a couple of hours for them to show up to change your tire. So 52% of Americans say they need somebody else to change the tire. All right? And the boomers are the worst. And then Gen X, then millennials, and then Gen Z. The Gen Zs can change the tires, but the boomers can't. 64% say they would need help to change their oil. I would need a battery help. I can't do that. 80% say they can refill the air in a tire. I can do that. But 73% say they can't change their spark plugs. I can't do that. So I got a guy who does it for me. But I thought it was pretty amusing that most Americans at this point in history cannot change a flat tire. Okay. Here's another thing. This is from Canadian casino website Gamble Lizard. Take it for what it's worth. 43% of Americans say they would leave their romantic partner for $1 million. 43% throwing a partner under the cliche-ridden bus for $1 million. Okay? Also for $1 million. 41% say they would swear off sex forever. Now, that's what they say. For $1 million. 59% say they would give up their cell phones and live off the grid. And 15% say they would frame a friend for a crime the friend did not commit for $1 million. Now, that drives right into my stat that 15% of the world's population of human beings are evil. A lot of folks. That's why I wrote Confronting Evil out in September. So that could perfect. So Gamble Lizard has right into my wheelhouse. Some other stats, 57% of Americans would quit their jobs immediately if they got $1 million. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today.